Brian Howlett of Pro Video Coalition. This is NAB at home. I'm in my garage in Nashville, Tennessee. We're all working from home. I'm with Larry, who is with Canon, and we're going to talk about new broadcast, new cinema products. But first, we're going to dive into the broadcast products. Is that right, Larry?
That is correct. And I'll take it here and start it with saying broadcast. And it's fairly modest. We are important in one sense that we're rounding out a portfolio of 4K UHD lenses in the 2/3 inch domain that we've been sort of briskly bringing out over the last few years. And this lens here, the 18 by 7.6, we already has a lens that is 18 by 7.6, except it has an extender. Whereas this new lens, we've taken out the extender. That does two things. It lets us sell it lower price, and it is lighter. This comes in at 3.7 pounds, 8.1 inches, but it's 4K. It's got HDR, wide color gamut capabilities, and we see it as being important to folks, local TV stations, colleges, houses of worship, etc. But the important point that we would have made at NAB, and this, by the way, is its specs. 7.6 to 100, pretty fast at f1.8, light, 3.7 pounds. The importance, though, is rounding out a portfolio of portable lenses for 4K. And we now have 12 with the addition of this in the bottom right. And as you can see, we have two levels, and that's a price performance. We've had that for years in high definition, and we've repeated that in 4K. And just to let you see the total picture, this is our 18 lens portfolio we offer now for field, studio, EFP, ENG, box lenses, and portable lenses.
So I'm going to jump in there so people who don't understand, the ENG is electronic news gathering, and I'm a news photographer with CBS locally in Nashville, as well as freelance for CBS Network. So I typically do use a lens like this well, I use it every day. I do use one. I actually use a Canon 7.6 to 137 in an HD version of that. And it's my go-to. Now, people may not understand this, but those B4 lenses, those 2/3 inch lenses, are very rarely you're going to find any other lens that has that wide and that long. And can we talk a little bit about the usefulness of like why someone needs? Because some people might not think they need 2/3 inch lenses anymore, but when you're covering news, it's really nothing you can beat it.
That's right. And we've rolled out many lenses in the HD domain, and we always get the continuing feedback from the users, and they say, "Oh, we like that lens, but if it was just a little longer." And of course, that a lot of the news folks, they bring out more than one lens because they want this capability to go more wide or more telephoto. So with this lens, we said we'll try and come up with sweet numbers in terms of focal range, 18 times, and wide 7.6 millimeter, so that hopefully one lens would be all you would need to cover most of the types of shooting that you do. That was the design goal.
This new 7.6 to 135 does not come with an extender, and what people don't understand, that's typically a 2 times optical glass element where there's a slight loss of light going to the sensor, but you take the 137 and you double the focal length. This is really useful in breaking news situations where a police line might have pulled you a little further back than you like, but you need to get a shot. I've actually used this shot last Friday, this feature on my lens, because we had a nursing home with 31 patients being evac because of COVID, and they kept me in. I couldn't step on the property because I'm trespassing someone in the street, full length of my lens and the 2 times, just to get a full shot of that ambulance and that patient coming out.
Interesting.
Now, we don't necessarily need those features if you have this lens. You don't need it 2 times because this, like the Sony 400, the Sony 800 have digital zooms because of 4K sensors.
Yes.
So would you think this is, without the extender, this is much more affordable for someone who's like a freelancer to step into, right?
Very much so, yes. And that was one of the motivations to do it. We did hear the request from some folks who said, I never use an extender. Can't you do something giving me a lens that's a little more affordable? But 4K, we want our 4K.
Yeah, we want that 4K, and then for yourself, and some broadcasters want 1080p, 30p,
Yes,
and in that case, that digital zoom, which can do it 2, 3, and 4 times, and that Sony specifically can make up that difference for you. So,
exactly.
so one of the things with ENG is, yeah, you have to gather the news or be there for sports, but you also, if you're on the camera and your hands are on that tripod, that can get really tiresome if you're in the same spot. So hand
Yes,
control is in the back with the monitor is what many people use, or hand control on the tripod. Now the new G
exactly.
series zoom and focus controls are coming out from Canon, and then we're going to talk a little bit about those too.
Yes. So here we have the new focus demand on the right, and I'm comparing it with the traditional one on the left. And as you know, these controllers have evolved over decades from feedback from camera operators in the broadcast world. The big thing you'll notice on the right is the inclusion of a display, and there's quite a bit more electronics inside that little box. On the Zoom controller, similarly, you'll see a display that's not on the standard controller. And these new controllers will work with all of our broadcast lenses, for portable box lenses, HD lenses, 4K, and our Cine Super 35 millimeter Cine Servo lenses. Now, the big point behind these controllers was, as we moved to 4K, the sensitivity of especially the focus control became much more sensitive. You only had to nudge it a bit and you could lose that sharpness. So a lot of operators said, can you do something about that? And then in addition, many operators explained to us that the nature of our shooting, we would like more cinematic type control so that we can do rack focusing on, say, if you're doing a broadcast of a live stage show. So let me illustrate a couple of modes that you can pre-program on the focus side. I'll do fine focus mode 1 first. And what that allows you to do is to, let's say the camera is at the back of the auditorium or the opera house or whatever, it's some distance away. You would set up where your central focus is on the stage. And then in rehearsal, you will say, all right, I will need this small range of focus to cover the various entities on the stage, but I want to do that with multiple turns. So I have an extremely fine vernier control of focus. Very important for facial close-ups. And as you know, in opera, they broadcast opera, a lot of facial close-ups. Same thing. That was fine focus control. And you can also do rack focusing. Now, another variant is focus range limit. You pre-program it. Now, similar situation, you're shooting stage, entities spread around the stage a bit, but the range of focus needed is not so great. But this time, you're not going to be doing vernier focus on faces. You're just going to be focusing between the different figures there. And now you want a very small range of rotation of the knob. You can program it to do that. And then for sports, where you might need a big change of optical focus, say between these two players, but you'd like to do that rapidly with a small movement of the knob, you can program that. So all of these mixtures of range of optical focus and the associated physical range of the knob can be differentially, if you will, programmed into using the display. The display gives a graphic display of the ranges relative to each other, so operators can find it very easily. We did some testing with this at the Met some months ago and got a very enthusiastic response from the mobile truck people who cover the Met. So we were going to make quite a showing of this at NAB, and we will be obviously bringing it out to show lots of entities and see what the marketplace thinks. Have we done the right thing here? We also can program the curve of focus depending on whether the subject is far away, near infinity on the range, or close up. And if the subject is far away, you put in the curve shown on the left, and now you have a nice slow gradation of focus. If the subject is very close to the lens, it would be the curve on the right, and now you have the slow gradation of focus around the MOD. The zoom controller has the display, the addition of the display, and some knobs and buttons. And again, the zoom controllers always had a lot of programmability. All of the frame presets, shuttle shots, speed presets, all of these we still retain, but now they're assisted by that display in setting them up. And then we add some new functions like curves for the zoom. And also, this was a request from different operators, that rocker that they use for zooming. Some people like to push it down to go zoom out. Other people like to push it up to zoom out. So you can switch the direction of that rocker, and a whole bunch of other controls like that. So that's it in a nutshell, what we're offering here. And we think it's going to be of interest to the marketplace.
So it's essentially like whatever you need for whatever environment you have. If you like a certain way, you can pre-program everything you like.
Yes.
And then diving out and resetting those menus, if someone else is going to be on there, is relatively easy as well, isn't it?
Yes, you can do a reset to put you back to what we call a preset position. And then, there's a little bit of training involved, but we were surprised when we did the tests at the Met that in about 5 minutes, that operator, who's a highly skilled operator, he had it knocked. Very, very good.
Now, would this be easy for someone who's a little bit of a novice with hand controls and focus knobs, like a student?
A novice would need a little guidance, no doubt about it. Like I had needed a little guidance when I first started to play with it.
Does Canon have a place for training, like online, like YouTube page or anything like that, or do they need to read the manual?
Well, it's funny, we were talking just a little while ago about training on this. We are at this very moment doing a whole bunch of virtual seminars on optical technologies. And we just last week said, we've got to do one on these controllers. So that's in the planning right now.
Okay, good. Thank you for showing us a broadcast lens, the
all right
7.6 to 137 without the extender, and the hand controllers. For those who don't understand, in the broadcast world, where you're on a tripod, you don't have an easy rig, and you don't have a cinema lens, and you don't have a wireless file focus. It's all you, and the director is asking you to get that shot, and they need it right away. So these controls in the focus really help you stand out when you're on a team of photographers trying to make something like the Met or an opera or a concert in my place, which a lot of concerts here, look as good as they can look. Thank you.